Namaste yogis, and welcome to another installment of Yoga for Athletes. Today we're going to get into the inner thighs, into the quads, and a little bit into the hip flexors as well. So if you'd like to join me for a quick practice, maybe have a strap as well as 2 blocks or something to bring the earth a little bit closer for you. We'll go ahead and get started in Baddha Konasana. If you need a little more support, reach for those blocks, slide them underneath your knees. Otherwise, just begin to bring the soles of the feet together. The knees fall out. Some of you will be able to take a hold of your feet, get into the ankles a little bit, and press the knees down, belly in, shoulders back. Others of us will be here, and if you're here, that's great. Be here, but be here intentionally. So if it feels like a lot of work, again, use your blocks, or you can even take your hands under your knees and give them a little bit of support so that we're not straining to be here. We'll all be here maybe someday, but if we're here, be here today and be here and be intentional about it. Be okay with it. We'll stay for about 2 more breaths, but as we do, I just want us to start a gentle rock forward and back. So a lot of our stretches can be a lot juicier if we take the opportunity to find a little bit of movement. So while it's great to be still, it's also nice to open up intentionally. So from Baddha Konasana, we'll swing our legs behind us and come into a tabletop position. Hands will be underneath the shoulders, the knees will come underneath the hips, and then we'll find some length in our foundation. So belly will come in, crown of the head will lengthen forward, hips will press back. We'll use an inhale to peel the right knee away from the mat and slide it forward in between the thumbs. If that seemed a bit challenging, it's really easy to reach back, take that leg forward and slide it down. If you're here and you need more room, you can always tuck your left toes, slide your knee back slightly. Some of you will be here and seeing stars, and that's a beautiful place to practice. Be here, enjoy the night sky, or walk the hands onto the thigh. With the hands on the thigh, begin to squeeze inner thigh, so pull the right hip back, engage left glute. Imagine someone is coming by and poking you. Are you active or are you falling? Always trying to engage, even in our stretch. So maybe staying here, this might be all you need, or you'll take your right hand to your right hip. Reach your left hand up. Now simply the action of reaching left hand up is going to start to extend the line of the psoas up. We're going to feel length happening in the left side of the hip. So maybe you stay here, or you begin to lean over to the right. If you lean right, you may feel quite a bit of sensation in that left hip. Embrace that. Back out just a little bit, and then gentle pulses to the right, maintaining that engagement through the inner thigh. So it's almost like you're trying to slide your right foot back to meet your left knee forward to meet your right foot. Breathe here. Seasoned practitioners, you might even take your hand to the mat and take a moment, just static bend over to the right. Release left hand back to the thigh, come back to neutral. Take your hands around your right foot. Some of you will stay here. Some of you will start to pick that left foot up, point the toes towards the sky. Maybe find a little bit of a cramp in that hamstring. If you do, just bring it back down and come back when you're ready. Reaching back for that right foot, hold on to the ankle, or reach for your strap. Loop it around the foot and bring it in. We're not looking for anything fancy here. We're just coming a little bit deeper into that left side quad. And if it feels really deep, you're welcome to take it back down to the mat. And we'll all move there. So releasing your strap or your foot, just begin to engage through the belly. Drag the right foot back to meet the left. And then we'll switch to the other side. So reaffirming into our foundation, pick left knee into chest, step the foot forward. Again, reach back, pull it forward if you need. More space is created by tucking the back toes and sliding right knee back. Maybe you're here and you're happy, or you take it a little bit further, walk hands onto the thigh. Pull right hip around so that we're square. Think tailbone towards the earth, so low belly in, tailbone down. Maybe you're here and you're more than happy. Or you take left hand to your left hip, right hand will reach up. Again, you'll feel that line. It'll become more intense all the way down the body. If you need more, just begin to lean to the right. Find your depth. Back out just a hair. Come out just a bit. And then begin to pulse. And as you pulse, make sure that you're not losing everything through the rest of the body. So as the upper body moves, the lower body remains strong and firm. Seasoned practitioners take left fingertips to the mat and take a static bend, reaching through the fingers, squeezing inner thighs and getting strong through the body. Inhale, right hand comes back to the thigh, left hand joins it. Bring hands to frame the foot. Just as before, reaching to deepen that quad stretch, that psoas stretch. Bringing the right toes towards the sky, taking a moment to identify any discomfort that's happening, and reaching back for the foot. Again, loop a strap there, a tie, a belt, whatever you have. And then it's not how far can I ratchet it into my hip, but how much sensation can I find without experiencing pain. And soften right foot back down to the mat. Hands frame the left foot. Step left knee back to meet the right. Plant both hands on the mat as you walk knees forward towards the wrist. Tucking the toes, maybe reaching for blocks. This is a nice place to have them. And beginning to sit back. You might like hands here. Seasoned practitioners, you might be fine with hands on to your thighs, but what we want to be sure of is reaching back and making sure that even the piggies are on the mat, so all 10 toes firmly tucked. And you might be here and be completely thrilled with life, or maybe you take hands onto the blocks and you press up into a toe stand, starting to activate the thighs, stretching the ankles, helping everything open up easily. Maybe not easily, maybe under a little bit of duress. Slowly bring knees back down to the mat. Maybe keep blocks right where they are or shift them out of your way. Hands to the mat just long enough to untuck the toes, open and close them, wiggle the piggies, and then bring ankles together firmly. Press the tops of the feet onto the mat and begin to sit back. Reaching fingertips behind the feet or keeping them onto the thighs, whichever works better for you. Maybe even lifting the knees from the mat and getting a really juicy stretch through the tops of the ankles. As we unlock the front side of the legs, we find a little more comfort radiating all the way up into the quads and into the hips. So as uncomfortable as this might be, it's a really great opportunity to unlock. Releasing knees back down to the mat. We'll roll out onto our belly and take a slightly deeper variation of our quad stretch that we took in our lunge. So walking all the way out onto your mat. Come to Sphinx. So elbows will be underneath your shoulders. You'll reach back through your toes. So really important, stretching the skin across the front side of the hips. Ground down through the left hand and bring the right foot in. So if you have easy access to your foot, brilliant, grab a hold of it. If it's a little bit out of reach, go ahead and loop it with the strap and then pull the foot into the bottom. Seasoned practitioners who have a hold of that foot, bring the toes into the body and then think about reversing your grip. So fingertips will come to the outside edge of the foot and we'll bring the elbow into the hip. As you're ready, start to pour the fingertips over the toes, bring the elbow towards the sky. Really nice double duty here into the chest and into the quad. But for those of us who are looking at me like that is completely unnatural, just hold the foot where you feel a stretch. So the moment you feel the front side of the thigh open, you're in the perfect place for you. Stay there. And then take a moment. We'll get into the inner thigh. Release that right foot back behind you. Slide the right knee off the mat. Flex the foot. See if you can bring the hip and knee in one line. And slide your hands underneath your shoulder. So your chest will fall to the earth just a little bit. Take a moment to really engage right side glute, press down with the left side leg. Inhale, lift up, and start to feel some opening across that left side front hip flexor as we get into the inner thigh of the right. Again, double duty, trying to do as much as we can in a short period of time to unlock so we can go about our day. Gently, slowly coming back down. We'll shift right into the other side. So elbows will come back underneath the shoulders. Right foot will lengthen back behind us. Reaching the feet away from the body. Maybe even walk the elbows forward a centimeter and pick the heart up a little bit more. Ground down with right side body, pick left toes up. And you might be here and you're feeling a stretch simply by using the strength of your hamstrings. Brilliant, stay there. If you want a little bit more, reach back for that foot. And again, it's your stretch. So take it where you're comfortable. You might even just hold on to pants if that's a little more accessible. Or seasoned practitioners, again, walk fingers to the outside edge of your left foot, thumb points in. Begin to hug the elbow into the side waist. Rotate the elbow up as you peel fingertips over the toes. Press the thigh down. Press the shoulder back and breathe. And stay here for just one more breath in whichever variation you're in. And then release the left foot back down to the mat. Left hand connect, or left forearm connects. Left hip opens by sliding left knee out to the left. Flex left toes. Bring the chest down as you walk hands under the shoulders. Maybe a little bit further back if you have quite the open chest. Take in a big inhale, look forward, roll shoulders onto the rib cage, and then press up. Firm the left knee down, engage through the left glutes, and press down through all 5 toes on the right foot. Breathe, smile, and then press left foot back behind you. Walking the feet together, engage through the belly, peel it off the mat, press down into hands. Press back, child's pose. Trying to connect hips and heels together. And maybe you're not there today and you're up a little bit. That's brilliant. Be where you are. Know that the opening is happening. Just because my body and your body look different does not mean that we're getting a different stretch. We're working our body for us. As you're ready, inhale, press back up. Walk the knees forward towards the wrists. And then we'll take a moment to assess. So you might like to have a block. We're going to keep the right foot pointed back behind us, and we'll bring the left leg out straight in our half hero pose. If this does not look comfortable or your knee is not feeling that today, take your block, turn it horizontally, pick yourself up and slide it underneath your hips. So another really easy or much easier way to get into it than that would be to come back into your table, step your left foot forward and start to bring your hips down onto that block. And it might be 2 blocks, it might be 6 blocks. Wherever you can rest easily, stay there. Trying to maintain the toes pointing straight back behind you, not ratcheting out to the side. This is not where we want our knee to be. We want it to be pointed back and long. With your sit bones spread nice and wide, you might even reach underneath you, spin all the meat out so you have a firm base. Maybe you stay here. You might get a lot of sensation through that thigh. You might even just begin to rake your fingers up the long bone, helping to open up some of that myofascial tissue. Or those of you with a little more range of motion, if you want to get into the left side hamstring at the same time, flex your left foot, bring your chest down and begin to reach for the foot. It's a really beautiful place for a strap too. If you want to loop the ball of the foot, pull the chest forward, bend the elbows and bring yourself in. Anytime we can use a strap or a belt, it just helps us to lengthen our arms and find more space through the body. Breathe here for one more breath. And then gently unloop the strap. If you have it, lean over to the left. Release the right leg out. Before we get into the left side, we're going to come into pigeon on the right. Again, getting a little more into that left side So we'll swing the legs back behind us. Right shin is going to come parallel to the front edge of our mat as we slide our left leg back. And some of you are going to look at that and think, nope, not today, and that's great. So you'll roll right onto your right hip. You'll point your toes back towards your left hip, and you will tuck your left toes, stay lifted. If you need a little bit of support to find that lift, you'll have your blocks on either side. If you feel like you're completely tilted over to the right, chalk your block under your hip and stay lifted. This is great. As long as you're in your variation of the pose, you're getting the stretch your body needs. So whether your shin is parallel to the front edge or pointed towards your back hip, I want you to keep those toes tucked. Think about coming in to the splits. We want our hips nice and aligned. So pour the tailbone down, press into the fingertips. Find a little bit of buoyancy by pulling the pelvic floor up and in. So Mula Bandha here, yogis. Pull up and in. Find that buoyancy, that gravity, the center of gravity in our low body. Breathe here. Smile at it. Know that pigeon is one of those poses where we're all a little uncomfortable. It's a universal groan from any class I've ever been in. If I call pigeon, we're not happy. So coming out of this roll onto your right hip, slide your left leg out in front. And we'll come into our hero on the opposite side. So enter how you entered before. Maybe coming back into table, sliding that block in between ankles, shifting right foot forward this time, straightening the leg as you sit the sit bones back on to the block. Once you're there, begin to spread the skin of the sitting bones. So engage the glutes to pull the sitting bones wide. Check in with left toes. Make sure that all 5 are pointed straight back behind you. And then settle in to your stretch, which may be seated stock upright. If you're feeling sensation sitting seated, just rake your fingers up towards the heart. Notice I'm not pushing back down. I'm coming straight up, helping to move lymphatic waste up towards the heart so it can be removed out of the body. If you're folded, just make sure that you're folded intentionally so the heart is pressing towards the legs, the shoulders are away from the ears, and the belly is drawn up and in, making space for the body. If you have a hold of that strap for this last breath, press through the ball of your foot a lot as you peel the toes back towards you. And then we'll release, come out, rock right. Bring that left leg in front this time. Swim the right leg back behind you. Left shin is either parallel or left toes are pointed towards the right hip. Shimmy a block underneath if you need it for support. Taking the pose in a way that makes sense for you. Flex through the right foot so that the knee points straight down, the right hip points down, and the right heel is towards the mat. Again, blocks may be on either side. Low belly draws in, tailbone is rooted into the mat. And then the more you can press down with that left shin bone, the more you'll feel left hip activate. So it becomes less of just an intense fall into knee stretch and more of an active find space throughout the body kind of movement. Breathe here for one more breath. And then as you're ready, shimmy onto that left hip. Bring your right foot out in front. We'll bring both legs out in front. Reaching for a block or a pillow, we'll come into bridge as our last pose before saying goodbye for today. Roll down on to your backs. Walk your feet in towards your hips. Again, having that block or pillow nearby. Ground down through the feet. Take a moment to peel the tailbone up. So think pelvic lift. It's a very small action here. You'll press down with the feet, peel your tailbone up so that just the top of the sacrum is connected. Everything else is disconnected from the sacrum down to the coccyx. As you're ready, press up through the hips. You can even take your hands onto your hip flexors here. Feel those iron bands. They're very strong muscles. press down through the feet. Start to peel the shoulder blades into the spine so that the heart lifts and the chest is starting to move towards the chin. Stay here for a few rounds of breath, feeling that fire, that opening through the entire front side of the body. Start to engage through your glutes and through your adductors, so squeezing inner thighs together like they're going to touch. And then take your block, settle it underneath your sacrum at the widest point. So not so far up that your tailbone points down towards the mat, and not so far down that you're barely connecting sitting bones, but right in the middle. Keep the direction of your tailbone pointing towards the heels and slightly towards the sky. Draw the navel center in. Maybe stay with arms down by your side, or start to lengthen again. Reach the arms overhead, and just the act of reaching overhead helps to elongate the hip flexors. Continue to activate through the glutes here, not simply falling into the stretch, but engaged from feet to fingers. Breathe. You can stay here, or one last stretch through the tops of the legs. You might begin to take the right foot in your hand, point the knee towards the back edge of your mat, and soften the shin down. Continue to activate through that left leg so that it doesn't fall out. It wants to fall out. Glutes want to externally rotate it, but keep it pointed towards the sky. Release your right foot, plant it firmly on the mat once more, and then slide your left hand down. Start to reach for the top of that foot. Shin bone comes towards the earth, knee moves out towards the back edge of your mat, and right foot firms in. We're here for just one more breath. And release that left foot back to the mat. Slide hands down on either side of your hips. Peel hips away. Bring your block away from your hips. Slowly curl tailbone down. And we'll bring one knee and then the other into the chest, wrapping around the shins, taking a hold of opposite elbows. Maybe forehead connects to the knees. Keep that length in the back of the neck as you settle the head down, giving yourself that really nice camera face when we first open our camera, that double chin face. Hold that there, activating through our throat chakra. Point your toes towards the back of your mat, and then press your knees into your arms as your arms come into your knees, and you'll feel a really nice firing of the hip flexors here. Breathe here for one more breath. And then release. Let the legs come out in front. Wiggle the hips side to side. Take a big inhale as you extend the arms back behind you. Maybe take a few moments here in Shavasana, resting your head back, closing your eyes, and simply letting yourself be. Or for those of you who need to get in the shower and get to work, you have completed today's Yoga for Athletes. Simply roll to your favorite side. Press up with your top arm. As always, it is a pleasure and a privilege to get to share sacred space with you. Namaste. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and watch one of the other ones, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell, know when new things are coming your way. You can also follow me on Instagram for daily insights, yoga challenges, and all kinds of fun things coming your way. Thank you.